Honestly, I think that the Republicans are going to be fine. I don't know if this is just because I'm in the South and
Mm-hmm.
I'm, and of
Go
course,
for it.
of course, people down in the South are more than likely to vote for Republican. But like just from my own experiences, I don't know. This is with everyone that's South, but the group of friends that I had in high school, yeah, they were all completely the opposite of me politically, and I got into quite a few arguments with them uh, about a lot of different things. And I think that the memes and stuff, like, that's really effective for the right, honestly, to get like young people in. And it's not even like policy; it's just like the reactionary, like anti SJW stuff that they'd
Yeah.
like love to latch on to, and it's just so easy for anyone that's not really that political to just grab onto that, and then that's their whole ideology, and that's they just see that Donald Trump is like this guy that's gonna own the libs basically, and that's their whole ideology is just I want to own the libs as much as possible, and I don't care anything about anything else.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
and that's
I
yeah.
completely agree in that sense. However, I'd be more inclined to like completely agree if it wasn't for the fact that I feel like we're seeing now like a online counterculture to that, even though like technically the Republicans are a counterculture, but you know what I mean. Like for example, like
Yeah.
more liberal streamers, liberal YouTube channels popping up, things like that, right? I think the right definitely got like a head start when it came to like I guess like this online immersion. And it doesn't surprise me, right? Because since a lot of conservative views, like in publics in like cities and stuff, or in places that are like more well populated, are not like exactly welcomed. It wouldn't surprise me that they would try to find like echo chambers online to like reaffirm those beliefs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But
Yeah.
anyways, I think it really depends if we have like a, or if there is like an effective liberal counter movement online. Whether the Republicans will be able to like get stronger base like that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. I think
Mm-hmm.
if there's any portion of like the youth vote that the Republicans are going to pick up, it's but mostly people that haven't voted before, low information voters,
Mm-hmm.
um, because it's easier to sway somebody that's kind of neutral or in the middle. So I see the Republicans might be able to pick up some young people using their memes and their trolling the libs,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of the people that start out and they get pulled towards the left or towards liberal politics, they're not going to be easily swayed to the right. It's going to be people going from the right to the left, if they go to the right at all. So
Mm-hmm. I mean, definitely, I've thought about like creating liberal meme channels and stuff like that.
We need
Cause
it.
yeah, no, I actually do think we need it because so many of these things like are they're not even that good memes. They're like low effort memes, right? But I feel like let me put it this way. When you're a young person, I'm a young person, right? But I mean, like, when you're like a kid or whatever, like 12 or 13, and your sense of humor is developing, and your like hormones are going all around, right? I feel like for that demographic, shock humor is very appealing to them, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's like something like, oh, edgy, cool, different, like a little bit rebellious even. So I definitely feel like they're I guess the most susceptible to it. And then when you just have like those reinforcing like type of jokes or type of media content going over and over, then you kind of like as you grow, you're more inclined to settle into that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
However, I feel like if there were, I'm not even joking. I feel like if there were more meme channels that were like liberals, like kind of making fun of Republican talking points or how silly they were, I do think that could be like an effective counter to that.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. I think that the reason I think one of the main reasons why the right is so good, or like they're so good with their memes. I can't believe I'm saying this, but the reason why I think they're so good is because a lot of the main points on the right are just very simple. But if you went to like I think I heard someone say this somewhere else. I don't know who, but if you went to like if you want to give them the counterpoint, it's like a bunch of bullet points, like to respond to like a racist argument. It's they just say, you know, like, we can't let these people in because they're going to kill everyone because they're immigrants or whatever. And then you have to respond with, you know, all the facts, all the data. You have to be like, okay, well, actually immigrants are less likely to commit crime than people who are actually already in the country, all this other stuff. And that's just not like, it's hard to make those things hit when you have someone just posting memes that just say like, build the wall. That's such a, like, it's so concise.
So the liberal arguments just take a bit more thought to understand them. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
they're not as
it's
blunt and just like, you know, right on the nose and easy to process quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and
so for low information voters, that might be effective. So.
Yeah, and it's also just yeah, it's also what I was gonna say. Yeah, not just is it like easier to process, but it goes back to I don't want to say like primal fear, but kind of that, right? Like, oh, it's the other. Like, don't think about it anymore, right? It's just like, oh, the other that's threatening you. Oh, the immigrant, the person who's like black, right? And it's just like a lot easier to kind of like lean back into that fear and not think even more.
Yeah, it's like a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think definitely having a, you know, liberal force on online, you know, social media and stuff, trying to reach out to other youth and get them involved in a way that, you know, clicks with them. But on the left, you definitely have to be careful, because you can go after Republicans, that's fine, but once you start going after the Democratic establishment and corporate Democrats, watch out for that rubber stamp that's going to tell you you're a Russian bot or a Russian troll or whatever.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Especially like, okay, don't get me wrong, like definitely right now I'm in the boat of anything but Trump. However, I kind of hate when people like claim that like so passionately, just because like that's the thing about the reason why Trump won in the first place, right? It was because everybody was like, oh, you know, a corporate Democrat, of course they're gonna win compared to like this crazy outlier dude, blah 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 blah. And it's like, okay, like you're gonna get fucked either way, right? Either by like corporate Democrats or by like this crazy asshole racist dude. And even though you can claim that like one is worse than the other, which it is, being like, oh, you have to vote for this person no matter what, you have to vote for a Democrat no matter what, kind of like leans into the idea that like, oh, it doesn't matter if they don't give a fuck about you as long as it's not Trump, you know? And it's like, it's just a little bit frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the points that we need to be making clear to new voters, low information voters, that, you know, things weren't perfect the day before Trump was elected. So you can't just simply be against Trump and call it good.
Somebody's saying, why do you think Trump is racist? I would argue that there's like a couple of things for this. For me, like the most like clear example kind of is how Puerto Rico was treated. He constantly lies about how much aid was given to us. His actual, like, don't get me wrong, Puerto Rico's administration did like mishandle the